Just a forewarning, I haven't planned this video very well, so I just sort of thought I'd do a bit of a random discussion into a microphone, so just bear with the fluidity of this video. So I have a theory about how the egg got on board the Sulaco in Alien 3, but before I get into the details, I want to address that I don't think what I'm about to describe was the intention of the filmmakers at the time, or the intention of the editors when they were coming to do the assembly cut for the DVD and subsequent Blu-rays. And I also should address that the catalyst for this theory comes originally from an image I saw on the internet, which you'll see later on in the video, which actually sparked some ideas that came to this video, which you're now watching. And I should also mention that a gentleman called Stephen over at avpgalaxy.net said to me that he'd been talking about this particular idea for years. So whether he came up with the image, I don't know. But anyway, so because this theory only really applies to the assembly cut, not the theatrical one, we must look at that film for what we actually see on screen. And what we are shown are two different types of facehugger, and this is often overlooked by a lot of people. The facehugger we see that cracks into the cryotubes and impregnates Ripley with the Queen Alien is a facehugger that we recognise. It's yellowish in colour and doesn't have any armour or webbing on it. And yeah, it's the one that we presume comes from the egg that we see hidden on board the Sulaco. We also see another facehugger when Murphy discovers it next to the Ox. He picks up this giant facehugger with armour, plating, different coloration, and that is often referred to as the royal facehugger or the super facehugger or the queen facehugger. I like to call it the royal facehugger just because it's so massive. The queen facehugger, I don't know why people call it that, because it's not the one that lays the queen inside Ripley. So we have to remember this facehugger is the one that lays the runner inside the Ox, and so there must be a reason why that facehugger looks different compared to the other one. And this image I saw online depicted that facehugger carrying an egg. And when I saw this image, I was like, actually, that kind of explains how it went down. So again, I have to address that I think this theory applies to only the assembly cut of Alien 3, not the theatrical one, because the theatrical one you can answer if you take, I don't know, Aliens Cloning Marines as canon, which I don't. As much as I do like that game, I don't consider it canon with the movies because Hicks died. Hicks died, man, in a very grotesque way. Poor Hicks. But anyway, no, so what we need to look at before I get into the nitty-gritty details of this theory is what we actually see on screen in Aliens and Alien 3. In Aliens, we're quite explicitly shown that the Queen needs an egg sac to lay the eggs, and so far in the canon of the Alien films, there is nothing to tell us anything else other than the Queen needs an egg sac to lay eggs. Even in AVP, they showed that she has the bulbous sort of rear end. But also eggs do come around from egg morphing if you watch the director's cut of Alien, and obviously the prequels are mixing things up in terms of what the aliens can kind of do and how they came about and stuff. So who knows if in a future film, that's debunked and the Queen can lay an emergency egg, which is what a lot of fans of the series kind of subscribe to. So I used to, and not that long ago, but as I think about it more, I don't know if the Queen can lay an emergency egg. But anyway, in Aliens we see that. In Aliens as well, right at the end of the credits, we hear the scuttle of a facehugger. Now this shows that there was a facehugger on board the Sulaco at the time before the events of Alien 3, if we go in chronological order. So when we get to Alien 3, we see that an egg has been hidden up inside the dropship aboard the Sulaco. Now we know it's the dropship because on the Blu-ray menu, of Alien 3, it quickly has an animation that shows us the location of the egg. Even though in the film it says Sulaco, which leads many to believe it's actually aboard the Sulaco. But since, you know, the advent of Blu-ray, they've kind of sort of hinted towards, no, it's on the dropship. So whether the Queen put it there or a facehugger put it there is entirely up to you, the viewer. I go with the idea that the facehugger put it there while the Queen was fighting Ripley and the others. So this facehugger that we heard scuttling around at the end of Aliens placed that egg up in the corner. So with all this knowledge, I think that is how essentially it went down. This royal facehugger, you know, either was on the Queen and followed it, you know, because we don't really see much of the Queen's feet as she's leaving, or anything, and we hear quite explicitly, as I've just mentioned, that there is a facehugger running around aboard the Sulaco. So I like to think that the only thing in my head canon is that facehugger, that armoured plated big facehugger, is designed like that to carry eggs like a hermit crab and hide them. That's what their sort of task is, you know, in the hive sort of structure. Ripley does ask Bishop, was there an alien on board, and he says yes, and she was like, was it with us all the way, and he says yes. So the fact that the alien was with them all the way, I don't know, you could apply that to the Queen, but I think that in the film it's meant to be talking about the facehuggers, or facehugger if you watch the theatrical one, but with the assembly cut it could be facehuggers, because they do show us two types. So anyway, guys, I hope that makes sense. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with this theory, or if you have any theories of your own. I'll be interested to know. I haven't heard this sort of one being talked about much online, aside from that image and a few discussions on avpgalaxy.net. But yeah, anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video, guys, and I'll see you soon.